Donald Trump does not care about the tragedy that is political violence and the epidemic that is gun violence. Donald Trump only cares what is politically expedient for Donald Trump, and that is why right now he is weaponizing Charlie Kirk's death as a way to move forward his authoritarian project, lying about the cause of political violence and gun violence in this country so he can make political gains. But it is blowing up in his face because the law enforcement officials who actually care about doing their jobs, not making a political statement, just exposed the lie that Donald Trump was screaming on the White House lawn to reporters, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into the lie that Donald Trump was caught in, how we are seeing law enforcement expose it, I want to start with the very failures that have led us to this point, and that's Kash Patel right here. Keystone Kash Patel's catastrophic failure in FBI's Charlie Kirk manhunt. Any law enforcement agent will tell you that the first 24 hours after a murder are the most crucial. The killer is on the move in trying to evade capture. They are not fictional characters. They are out in the open. They panic. They make mistakes. But as 24 hours has passed following Charlie Kirk being shot in cold blood at Utah Valley University, the hunt for the gunman was reduced to a fuzzy photo and a plea to a phone, 1-800-CALL-FBI. FBI boss Kash Patel threw some cash at the problem, offering a $100,000 reward. But despite what the Trump administration may believe, money doesn't solve every problem. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Patel, and his deputy Dan Bongino have been doing a fabulous job, according to the president, but faced with solving a major crime instead of arresting illegal immigrants outside of Home Depot, they are being found sorely wanting. For someone as camera aware as Patel, it was surprising that he waited until Thursday afternoon to head to Utah to take personal charge of the most important case of his life. It's certainly hard to understand why J.D. Vance was the one to head west while Patel and Bongino were in New York at the 9/11 memorial, representing the premier national law enforcement agency on a day of national mourning would normally be the right thing, but surely after Kirk's murder, the head of the FBI would be excused. Kash Patel isn't even focused on the right photo op. It has been his failure at the FBI, which just goes to show how little Donald Trump cares about this tragedy. There has been no mention of the shortcomings of Kash Patel, and it is his very firings, the purges at the FBI, the systematic removal of anyone qualified to do their job, but not completely loyal to Donald Trump, that has gotten us to this place where we are right now. Only weeks ago did Kash Patel fire the head of the division in Salt Lake City because, I don't know, he probably didn't post beautiful things about Donald Trump all the time. That is a failure representative of their lack of care and only their attention to photo ops. And before we get into how this completely contributes to Donald Trump's photo op, his narrative, and what he's trying to spin of this shooting, I want to start with what AOC had to say because she hits the nail on the head.
The president, at his speech, he was very critical of left-wing violence. What do you think of that message, and do you agree with them that left-wing violence is a problem?
There is no understanding, as we know publicly, of who this individual is, what their motivations were, where they came from, whether it is a member of Congress, whether it is the President of the United States. To assume and assert and cast blame when the FBI has failed to even apprehend the assailant is absolutely an irresponsible action
of the FBI. And why? Because Donald Trump does not care about keeping people safe. Donald Trump does not care about families. Donald Trump doesn't care about gun violence, political violence, or college campuses that are now petrified of what could come next. Donald Trump just wants his photo op. Donald Trump just wants to take this opportunity to expand his authoritarian project. That much is clear, which is why he has been lying, but that lie just backfired. And it started with what he said right here.
Are you concerned for your own safety?
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics. And we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only
A shooter hasn't even been identified or captured.
because of the failure of this Fox News administration, yet Donald Trump is already launching a war on any liberal organization, anyone speaking out against his administration. The State Department is now looking into the immigration status of those who have not made jokes about Charlie Kirk online, but those who are critical of him. Not even to a point where they are joking about Charlie Kirk, which is in your First Amendment right, I'd hope still, but are simply being critical of his political ideology, which is the entire point. Yet Donald Trump and all of MAGA want to claim that this was a trans person. This was another trans shooting, whatever that means. But that lie is being blown up by law enforcement. Law enforcement official tells New York Times that report on Kirk shooter's political views could be inaccurate. Two reporters with the New York Times urged caution over reports that the ammunition used by Charlie Kirk's killer had been engraved with transgender and anti-fascist ideology. Kirk was shot and killed as he interacted with the crowd at a Prove Me Wrong debate on the campus of the Utah Valley University on Wednesday. Glenn Thrush and Devlin Barrett wrote Thursday that the story about ideology etched on the ammunition that was first reported by the Wall Street Journal has not been verified by the ATF. According to a preliminary internal report circulated inside the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, federal and local officials recovered ammunition with the shooter's rifle that appeared to be engraved with statements expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology, Thrush and Barrett wrote. But a senior law enforcement official with direct knowledge of the investigation cautioned that report had not been verified by the ATF analysts, did not match other summaries of the evidence, and might turn out to have been misread or misinterpreted. And fast-moving investigations, such status reports are not made public because they often contain a mixture of accurate and inaccurate information. The shooter's rifle was reportedly recovered Wednesday night in a wooded area near the Utah University campus. The Journal cited an internal law enforcement bulletin and a person familiar with the investigation to report about the alleged ideology engraved on the ammunition. The very reason why these reports are not shared is because they may claim inaccurate information. They may show facts that are misstated, claims that have not been verified. Yet Kash Patel has been tweeting nonstop about an ongoing manhunt he is not even in the state for, and then having to backtrack because he jumps the gun on his analysis. Why? It's because Kash Patel is after those sweet, sweet likes and retweets. That's what he wants. He wants his face with those bulging eyes to be seen, rather than to actually complete the job at hand, which is to do the damn job he is unqualified for. That is this administration. They are after social media engagements before success in their operations. It is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that this is our government, that these are the people who claim that they're keeping us safe, because they're not. They're not keeping us safe. And they don't care about our safety. They are political opportunists. That is what Donald Trump is. That is what Kash Patel is. They don't care about political violence. And I'm tired of the eulogizing of someone who didn't as well. Donald Trump is not going to shift the way his administration operates to stop further political violence. He is going to push his administration towards a more powerful authoritarian state when he can do whatever he wants, to encourage political violence and to rewrite its history, which is what he is doing right now with a new Republican January 6th commission, which has mysteriously gone under the radar. But Jamie Raskin called out right here.
The police heroes who defended our Congress, who defended our vice president, who was threatened by Donald Trump's mob, and who defended our Constitution against Trump's insurrection. They've done nothing for the officers. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about specific officers. For example, Sergeant Aquilino Gunnell. Sergeant Gunnell was on the Capitol Police Department force for 17 years, a veteran of the Iraq War who said he never saw any kind of violence and savagery as bloody as what he saw on January the 6th. He endured injuries so severe, he was forced to retire from the police department. He could no longer meet the medical and physical requirements for service on the Capitol Police Department. And while he was about to be promoted to lieutenant from sergeant, he was forced to retire from the police and is now living on a substantially reduced income for him and his family. He's just one example of many officers of the hundreds who were forced to leave either the Capitol Police or the MPD because of injuries, physical or psychological, that they suffered on that day. So we'll also get the chance with the new select subcommittee to examine the constantly growing criminal records of all of the violent felons and cop beaters and white nationalists who Donald Trump pardoned and released onto our streets on day one. And they've been picked up on all kinds of crimes. One from Virginia was engaged in burglarizing homes in the neighborhood where he lived. But on that list are child sex abusers. There are people who've been involved in other kinds of violent crimes and robbery. And so we're going to trace all of the people who Donald Trump decided to pardon and release back into the streets. Again, we would much prefer to be working on something positive, forward-looking, but they want to look back. And so we say, fine, this will be a chance to educate America about what exactly they did to us in their effort to overthrow a presidential election, which Donald Trump lost by 7 million votes, 306 to 232 in the Electoral College. All of his claims of fraud were debunked and repudiated by more than 60 federal and state court judgments, including from 7 or 8 judges that he himself named to the bench.
We have to continue to call out their lies. I will not bend to the will of people who want to force us to have feelings that aren't representative of the truth of this time so that they can feel politically satisfied with their selective empathy. These are people who excuse the killing of children in their schools, children in Gaza, and now they want us to be outraged. They want us to be outraged to make themselves feel better, not because they want change. We're going to continue to actually fight for change. And if you want to support that work, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.